is Dr. Meera from Forge, Coimbatore. We are a technology business incubator founded by the Shakti Group and Department of Science and Technology. So we started operations in 2015 in the town called Coimbatore. I'm sure many of you are aware of, very famous for its manufacturing, MSME, and industrial ecosystem in the city. So with that quick introduction, I'm very happy and delighted. I would like to thank IIIT Hyderabad and other partners for giving us this opportunity to share some of my learnings in the incubation space for the last 3.5, 4 years that I have been associated with Forge, and also some of the best practices that we would share with you during this session. And I recommend that we have this as a more interactive session and look forward to have conversations and learn mutually from all of you in this forum. Okay, so I think this is day 2 of your incubation managers workshop, the FASTstart program championed by IIIT Hyderabad MeitY Startup Hub. So this program, when incubation management per se, I suppose all of you who are attending this program today have shown a lot of interest to being part of the incubation ecosystem and are here to learn beyond what you currently do and practice from across the country. So first, congratulations to all of you. Before I just start the session, I thought we can maybe do a small interesting activity and then take you through the program so that we also know each other a little better, and it could be a fun interaction. So my small request is, this is also connected to the workshop. So what I would want you to do is find a word or a profession that strikes bell to you when you understand incubation management. So when I say incubation management, how will you explain this to a common man in giving it a synonym to another profession? A teacher, a coach, a consultant, an event manager, a program manager. If I say incubation management as a profession, what will be that one word that you will use to best describe this profession? Can I have some of you share it on the chat screen? I think we can share in the screen. Is it shareable to participants here?
No, ma'am. So basically, like they're replying in the chat option. So.
Okay, yeah, they can. Okay, a bridge. Okay, a startup evangelist. Okay, supporting hands. Okay, very interesting. Like to have a few more. Nurturing startups. Okay. Any other thoughts? Enablers. Okay. Ecosystem enablers, support system, mentor. Okay. Okay, good. I'll request you to keep this going as I start my session. Taking care of a born baby. Yes. Great. So we are here today to discuss today about incubator and innovation programs conducted by incubators, all kind of different programs that an incubator designs and offers, right? So what are these programs about, and how do you go about designing a program in an incubator? For us to decide on that, it's very, very important for us to understand the role, the primary KRAs of us as incubation managers. And hence I thought this would be a good leading question to start. But as you have given some answers, I would also like you to, as we go through the session today, think about what are we actually doing as incubation managers? What is our role, and what kind of an profession that you can compare your role to? I will leave you to continue to think and immerse in that thought as we do this session today. So this session, we have kept it in two parts. Primarily, I would like to help you understand the incubation programs through the innovation and growth programs that we offer at Forge. So I would like to give you a very brief introduction to what Forge is and how do we present ourselves to the ecosystem, and which actually lays the ground to how we design and deliver our programs. So it's very, very important that when we take up to deliver or design and deliver a program, it's very important to have a positioning, a vision of how we want to achieve what we want to achieve in the ecosystem. So Forge as a partner incubator, 1 minute, I'm just having a Forge as a partner incubator empowers government, industry, and academia to exploit strategic opportunities through innovation powered by deep technologies. We work with technologies like artificial intelligence, data science, robotics, power electronics, augmented reality, all those emerging areas currently in the domain. We look at giving our focus into those technologies. But when I speak about the technology domains, our focus also are currently on industrial digital startups. So in Forge, for the last 5 years, our focus has primarily been on industrial startups, and with the COVID happening, the digital transformation in industry is also accelerating, which is a right opportunity that we have also harnessed through the strength that we have built over the years. So when we say we are a partner incubator to government, industry, and academia, what we actually look at doing is combining frontier technologies and future talents. Anything from engineering college campuses to matured startups who would like to pitch, raise investments, and scale for growth. We help the startups and innovators in working with our partners, where the partners like government, industry, and academia are able to drive excellence in their outcomes and achieve business growth and their goals through these collaboration. So to put it in simple, we are bringing in the entrepreneurial innovation and talent, and provide access to government and industry for this talent to solve their challenges. I have some, okay. Forge primarily is a vertically integrated incubator. When I say a vertically integrated incubator, we have on the base the ground infrastructure and resources, the physical lab facilities, the co-working facilities on the as the first physical facilities there, topped up by technical infrastructure like any incubator has, right? So we look at the infrastructure and physical resources as the bottom layer of the vertical integration in our incubator, which is then provided with innovation activation, product innovation, product acceleration, and business growth. So these are programs that we have built on the physical infrastructure, which is supported by grants for early stage innovators and startup founders. And the growth stage matured startups are supported with investments. So if you rip off the strategy of the organization, on the roof of the organization, the strategy that you can see that the organization is built is these layers that is put together to form a vertically integrated incubator. So the programs that we do here are primarily in the areas of innovation activation, product innovation, product acceleration, and growth acceleration. And this is clearly delivered through internal expertise, people resources, adequately supported by external experts and practice leaders who work with startup founders across the country. We also work with partners in government, industry, global networks, academia, and of course, technology providers who make our labs capable. So an ecosystem that we are talking about, putting together this picture, this image actually gives you a full picture of the ecosystem that we are building and how our programs are integrated with this ecosystem to make us a vertically integrated incubator for catalyzing industrial digital transformation. This is just to give a focus of the innovation, the technology labs and innovation COEs that we have at Forge. And the focus areas currently are on, so we currently have one center in Coimbatore, but soon we are setting up 2 more centers in partnership with Government of Tamil Nadu in Sri Perambudur, Chennai, and Hosur near Bangalore. So together we will have 3 facilities of around 60,000 square feet, which will have 6 COEs in future mobility, aerospace, defense, factory AIoT, advanced manufacturing, precision agriculture, future cities, and assistive devices. So this is primarily, if you see my previous layer, the infrastructure and the resources part of it, which I was talking about, which is provided here in detail. So the programs that we have done so far, just to give you an overview of the different kinds of programs we do. We very strongly believe that Forge, beyond an incubator, is an open innovation platform. So when we call ourselves an open innovation platform, we work with government-sponsored open innovation programs and industry, corporate-sponsored open innovation programs. So we work with Government of India Ministry of Defense in the IDEX program. We work with MHRD in many of their initiatives and program, the recent ones being the Samadhan and the Fight Corona Ideathon that we conducted during the lockdown. And we have also worked very closely in the Smart India Hardware Hackathon edition, bringing in the strength that we had in hardware. So these are some of the programs that we work with. And currently we are working with Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs to put together an open innovation platform for smart cities. Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, we are a partner incubator for TIDE 2.0, like many of the participants today in the event are with MSH, and also for Shashakt, which is the post-COVID grant that has been offered to startups from across the country. SIPCOT is the partnership that we have in setting up these 2 centers. It's an agency of Government of Tamil Nadu, where we are working with them to set up 2 industrial innovation centers, which will activate and seed industrial innovations and provide startups market access within the industrial ecosystem of Tamil Nadu. So these are largely the kind of programs that we currently work with, in parallel to a lot of corporate programs at various levels that I showed in my previous slide, from innovation activation to growth acceleration. So I'm going back to the slide to say the 4 stages in which the programs are designed, which is common across many incubators, because this follows the fundamental science of incubation, but in partnership with many of these government agencies and corporate partners. Okay, so just going back to the fundamentals of startup, I just wanted to take, after a brief introduction to what we do at Forge, let's just go back to the first principles and learn and understand what are we trying to do as incubation managers. Do we have any questions, Sarvan?
Sorry, ma'am.
Okay.
I guess like
Okay.
someone
Sorry.
was unmute, so yeah.
Okay. Okay. If there are any questions, I can take for a quick stop it is primarily a quick introduction to Forge that I provided, and we will look forward to the next steps on how we go about building these programs and how the incubation managers who are participating in this program could take away some of the best practices we do, and we will also be happy to learn some of the best practices that you bring to the table. So startup, to us, the way we look at startup, or the focused definition that we give to startup is a new company whose potential for high growth has to be proven, right? It is a new company, but there is a huge potential for high growth for this organization, whether it is technology innovation, business model innovation that they are looking at. Is there a huge potential that is driving the growth of this new company? And startup is a process where they are trying to build proof for this potential. So why do we need to build proof for this potential? Because ultimately a startup would like to become a venture. If they have to become a venture, today where they are, they have a lot of assumptions. We have assumptions about the market size, the market acceptance. Is there target customers who are interested in this market? We have assumptions about the vision of the organization as such. We have assumptions on technology. We have assumptions on the product, the innovation, the business model, even the team, right? So a startup is someone who comes to us with a lot of assumptions, rather like what Steve Blank says, guesses, in putting it in layman terms, right? Or in a scientific term, we can call it hypothesis, because many of you would have worked in scientific research background, right? We can either call it guesses in simple term or hypothesis in a scientific term. But like we do a lab research, it's very important that we collect evidence so that we can prove or disprove this hypothesis. So what is a startup trying to do in an incubator? It is actually as an incubation manager, we are helping them validate some of their assumptions and build evidence. Okay, now if they have to build evidence, what are those areas that they may have to focus on, right? So the major problem that we are trying to solve for a startup is help them mitigate risk, help them identify, manage, measure, and mitigate risk. So for a startup in its journey to become a venture, we essentially have 4 risk factors. We call it the innovation risk and the growth risk. The customer and product are primarily innovation risks, and market and growth are basically the risk that startups will have in their journey to become a venture in scaling. So these are the four major risks that we are trying to help them build evidence through our programs that we provide in an incubator, right? So the customer risk involves risk of, is there a motivated customer, right? Is there a real pain that the startup is solving? Is there a customer who is dying to solve that problem, right? Is there a motivation in the target segment for solving the problem? Then is there a commitment from the customer uh, to actually adopt? Will there be a paying customer for this product or solution that the startup, or the innovation that the startup is coming with, right? Is there an acceptance? Will the customer accept the product? So these are assumptions that the startups are coming to us with, and what we provide to the startup during their journey with us is a way, are programs that provide them ways to mitigate these risks, right? So they are trying to build evidence which will help them to validate their assumptions, which will help them to transform into ventures. Excuse me. So what we are here managing in the incubation is managing risk. So giving skills and competencies that we have to the startups to identify, measure, and mitigate risk. That's incubation management, if I can put it in very simple terms, right? Uh, for their startup from the idea to venture journey. So when we look at it as a large process, it's idea to venture, but we can break it down like an assembly line of a steel plant. Imagine a steel plant which has an assembly line, right, from a raw material to finished steel. So similarly, we have idea which is coming in as an input, and we need a venture as the output of the factory that we run. And what we need to ensure every stage of this, from an idea to a venture, if I can logically split this into prototype, product, business, and venture stages, there should be defined milestones that we should be able to measure at every stage, like we do in an assembly line of a factory. So the first stage being the value price fit. Is there a value that the startup provides to its target customer? And is there a willingness of the customer to pay the price? Is there a potential customer who will buy it at some point of time? Next, the startup really needs support to build their MVP. They need a design for manufacturing ready product. So is the innovation that they have today has a potential to become a product that can sell out in the market? The third, the product market fit, then the investment growth fit. So at every stage, I'm not getting into the science of incubation management, but the reason I'm walking you through this is to help you revisit some of these fundamentals, so that when we build programs, it's very important for us to understand why we do what. So if we have to help a startup from idea to a venture, and these are going to be different milestones that they have to traverse in their journey along with us, and what we provide them is a managed incubation services. Then what is the program that we are going to design for whom, is the question that we have to ask and come up with answers. So the way we provide, what we provide in our programs to startup founders is means method. When I say means, the physical infrastructure, lab, the ecosystem connect, all the means that will help them to do what they want to achieve. If they are in idea stage, they need certain means. If they are in a matured stage, they need certain means. Then you have methods. Because to us, the technology entrepreneurship that we are talking about is more science than art, which means there is a method to this madness. So, as incubation managers, it's very important for us to decode the methods to provide them, so that we have tested and proved that this can be repeated by many more startups. And if they use the method, their rate of success could be better. The time they take to mitigate those risks can be lowered. The third is, of course, mentoring. I would rather prefer to call this coaching than mentoring, but the 5M helps me to retain this as mentoring, and that's how the ecosystem also understands. We call them coaches because anybody can become a mentor, but only a player can become a coach. So if you go to a cricket academy, you can't find anybody coaching a cricket player. The person who coaches a cricket player in a cricket academy will essentially be a senior or a veteran cricket player himself already. So mentoring, I would prefer more coaching in areas that matters. And the fourth and the most important of all of this is market access. So early on from the idea stage, how much close are the startups working with their customers? So from the customer development process to market access that they get in advanced stages. So all our programs ensure that they get means, method, mentoring, and market. And the last, and essentially the last, this is done deliberately, kept at the last, is the money. So if the first four is something that the program provides, the incubation programs designed by you provides in your incubator, you will need very less money, and you will also use the money better, because it's one of the most important skill that a startup has to acquire when he is in an incubation center, because we are looking at him to become a potential venture who would scale and grow. So he needs to have the prudence to manage money efficiently. And that starts with our grant implementation process. So we put money at the last, and we ensure the rest of the four helps the fifth M, the money, work better. Any questions so far before I get into our actual programs? Anything that I had shared, if someone would like to?
Ma'am, can we take the Q&As from 4:20 to 4:30, the 10 minutes?
Yeah, I mean 4:15 to 4:30, but I thought I could break a monologue and have some conversations. That's the only interest.
Sure.
No problem, Arvind. So that's the 5M of incubation management, and this becomes the primary ingredient to our programs at Forge.